And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, damn it, and we are back for another week of conversation and good old times. And of course, I have my guest here with me too. Before we bring them on, just want to thank everybody for awesome 2022. Could not have done it without you guys. Thank you for tuning in, supporting. But we still need more. So please like, share, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Empower TV Network. But just let everybody know you're watching the show. Even if you can only stop by and watch it for a few minutes, we appreciate that as well. But let everybody else know. Please share. We love to have more and more people join in, whether it's to talk or just to kind of drop in and see what we're all about. We are streaming live today on LinkedIn, YouTube, as I mentioned before, as well as Facebook. This is also streaming on our Roku network, which is Empower TV, as well as Amazon Fire TV under Empower TV. So please check that out. If you have a smart TV or you have a streaming stick, please put that in, add us on, and check out some of our other content as well. Going forward, we will be changing times beginning next year to 7 p.m. We'll start a little bit later just to kind of pick up a few more viewers. So hopefully you can tune in to that as well. If not the entire show, some part of it. If you'd also like to be a panelist on the show, we will welcome that. Just send us a message, direct mail or email at theparkermedia@gmail.com. Would love to be able to bring you on in 2023 to talk with the panel. So with that said, let me bring in Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
Hey.
How you doing? Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, all that stuff.
All that stuff? Okay.
That stuff.
Be careful. Are you Jewish?
No.
No. Okay. Just checking. All right. And let's bring in our other, I guess, Lori. I mean, really, the man needs no introduction. He's been gone for a while, but he's always been close in the hearts of all of the fans all around the world to watch Empower TV Network, especially the ladies in Cambodia, Brazil, India, England. They've missed him a lot, but I'm sure that they have their ways of reaching him, probably on WhatsApp, Instagram, and other places. You've seen him everywhere, y'all. You've seen him on Instagram. He's the real estate guru. He's the guy that will sit there and sell you a house and only take a 0.5% commission. This is okay. That part isn't true. Don't be sitting there looking for no 0.5% commission. Pay, damn it, pay him, pay the man. He deserves every penny that he gets. We're gonna bring him on. The man, the myth, the legend, the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. How you doing?
Guys, what's going on? Right up to the 0.5%. Right up to the 0.5%. I was like, I'll let it ride.
Everything before that was absolutely 100%.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
I love that shirt. That is beautiful.
Thanks, man. I'm going through a hoodie renaissance right now. I'm getting some really dope hoodies that I've been wearing and stuff.
I like it. I love those colors. I've seen that on like shoes before, where they kind of give it that splatter look.
Yeah.
Because then you can.
There's a hand. It's a handprint. So yeah.
Oh, nice. So that even gives it more of the fact that it was a hand that's okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you getting into your fashion side of life, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Well,
I'm transitioning.
we definitely well, you have to be careful in 2022 when you talk about transitions,
It's true.
because then
True.
that could go into a whole nother conversation about what bathroom are you using these days.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I think it segues perfectly for the show as we transition from 22 to 23.
hey, and you know what? That is going to happen whether we want it to or not.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and 2022 had a whole lot of moments in it. Some good ones, some not. So I kind of wanted to mix up the show a little bit, talk about some of those things that have gone on in 2022, and look forward to some of the things on the horizon, whether it's personal goals, health goals, financial goals, all those types of things. You know, if you really want to figure out where you're going, you need to really sometimes look at where you've been. Not dwell on it, but you need to at least be able to look at it honestly, soberly, and be able to learn what you can, even the things that maybe you felt like were failures for you or things that you came up just a little bit short in 2022. We should try to use those things as a springboard in how we go into 2023. What's happened has happened. What even happened 5 minutes ago, you can't go back and change. But what you have in front of you, you have every opportunity to make it better for you. And that's what this show is really about. So, is there anything in 2022 that you guys were really excited about? Any big things that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this past year on personal milestones, like the girls playing sports, doing well in school and stuff. The reason I hadn't been able to be here on Thursdays is because my youngest made the middle school basketball team, and so they play Tuesdays and Thursdays. Unfortunately, when we would be filming and stuff, and so I'm being a very loud and supportive, trying not to get kicked out of gym's dad. Um, and so yeah, I was very excited about that stuff. Um, just on a lot of levels, right? Like I said, those are the personal things. But being able to see old friends and reconnect and things like that. Yeah, I think like every year, 22 has its ups and downs and stuff, and there were definitely for me a lot of ups. I became a revert and became a Muslim and joined the Islamic religion. So that was a big personal thing for me that happened this year. So yeah, 2022, despite everything, had a lot of good stuff in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lori, how about you? Anything happened in July that you were really excited about?
Just name it.
Guess we're just going to go on from there. I'm going to say, yes, 2022 had its ups and downs, but one of the highlights, and again, I even look back and reflect on this, that as a person who grew up in New York State and always lived in an apartment, never thought that I would ever become a homeowner. Going through that process, and then also um, uh, in my work life, went through a lot of transition in 2022, but at the same time, some of these things had afforded me to actually purchase my home, which I'm very excited about for 2023 and beyond. Want to look at the next one. I want to get next house.
Yeah,
Work
yeah.
on that. Kind of work on a little bit more um, things about for growing wealth for the family and for the things that we like to do, and then just my own personal growth. Um, to just looking forward to being able to making sure that I'm affecting change in a more positive way. Um, so that's some of the things that I'm really excited about for 2023, and any new endeavors in. Just want to make sure that I'm getting out there, shaking hands and kissing babies and doing all of that good stuff.
Okay. Right on. Right on.
Oh, and one other thing. So I guess in my volunteer life for my Cabarrus Regional Society of Human Resource Management. I was voted in as the secretary and treasurer for the chapter. So,
Okay.
so
Congratulations.
thank you. So I'm super excited about that because I'm the money lady now. So
Well,
to doing all of that and trying to push forth my goals in human resources and stuff like that. So, and Brian, what are you happy or what successes and things that happened to you in 2022 that you are proud about or reflected on, or what would you like to tell us?
well, let me think. I am in the Super Bowl for my fantasy football. So next Tuesday I'll be crowned champion.
Confidence. I love it.
Yeah. I'm in Randall's league for the 8th, 9th, 10th year in a row, whatever it is, and it's only me and one poor slep standing. So he will meet his end on Monday night, and I will officially get my crown for the second time in this league on Tuesday. So yeah, it's been a great year with that. No, I'm just kidding. But that is true. But definitely buying a house and home ownership, and that was definitely big. That did occupy a lot of my time just going through the nuances of that. So as far as like my acting and stuff like that, that kind of fell off a little bit, just because I didn't want to overextend myself and not make sure that having a home and managing that and doing all those types of things didn't collide together. So already working a full-time job doing that, trying to act and do Empower and all those kind of things can stretch the person thin sometimes. So I put a lot of my acting on the back seat, but I am looking forward to 2023 where I'm looking to do a lot more auditioning, a lot more actual acting, whether that's me getting back on the road and doing things like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Like Lori said, definitely looking for our next home or multi-family home so that we can continue to grow with that and grow our branding and stuff like that so that we can keep continuing to extend our reach, but grow smartly, not grow for the sake of growing. So that'll be one of the challenges that we'll have in 2023 and beyond. For Empower TV, start getting back on the grind with that, do a lot more advertising with the channel, trying to grow the channel to the next level. We really put a lot of sweat equity in. Can you believe we are already 3 years in to Empower being live? And that's a lot because, it's a channel that I basically pay for out of my pocket every single month to keep active on Roku and on Amazon Fire TV. And I know a lot of people, they get into it, think it's a great idea, they try it, and after a month or two, they're like, man, that's just too much, and the cost, and this and that and the other. So I'm thankful I'm afforded the opportunity to continue to keep bringing the channel week in and week out. Joe Lowry, what's going on, brother? He said, claim it. I sure will, brother. I think that this channel can provide a very, very good resource for people. One of the other things that I want to claim, Joe, I don't know if it's 2023 or 2024, but it's always been my dream to get Empower in an actual building in a studio setting. So what we're going to eventually have is some type of building where there are at least 3 to 4 studios. One will be permanent Empower, and then the other ones will be ones that we actually make available to folks, like how they used to do public access and stuff like that, but we'll do it from a streaming standpoint where Empower Studios will be able to let folks that want to have their talk show in person be able to come into the building and work at the studio. eventually be able to have interns come in and work at the studio, for folks to be able to put up their content and stream it, whether they want to stream it on Empower or if they have another network that they want to stream it to, if they want to do pre-recorded shows and things like that, where they're actually at a desk or a round table and things like that, and actually have professionals at the studio that can help them, whether it's an engineer, stage managers, folks like that. So got a lot of goals for Empower to grow from online, well, not online streaming, but more of a Zoomish format to actually sitting down in front of people face to face, coming into the studio and being able to do the same thing that we do week in and week out. So a lot of good stuff that I foresee with Empower. All right, how's that?
That sounds good. And then I'm also going to just tout this for myself that I've kind of reached the end of the year and I'm still in consideration for my contract, sort of.
So what Lori's talking about is that if anybody understands how sports business works, you know, when a player is reaching free agency, they can be an unrestricted free agent or fully, or a restricted free agent. Lori, year to year, is a restricted free agent, meaning that I have the ability to let her know at the end of the year if she's going to make it for the next year. And I have to base that, you know, what I thought about it is that every year I get a review from my supervisor, whether I want one or not. And they go through all of my competencies and core abilities. And we really determine if I'm going to get a raise, or it could even determine if I'm going to have a job. So, you know, Lori's on a year-to-year contract. And
but it's the 29th.
Yeah. So like I said, I got 2 more days of consideration.
Nah, that's bad business right there. You're supposed to know way before 29th.
Well, I kind of have my decision, but I kind of feel like if I tip my hat to Lori too soon, she might get caught slipping these last 2.5 days. And I really want her to finish 2022 strong. I know I'm making it hard because the uncertainty of 2023. She could do all of this and come Sunday, her and Buddy just be kind of sitting there figuring out what hotel they got to check into. But, you know, those are the breaks, as they say.
I don't think you understand what a superstar you got on your team.
Well, I really do. And this may be the first year where I extend her contract past 1 year. I'm actually thinking about giving her something more stable, like 18 months. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe 5 years since they. But that would be a lot. You know, she's been kind of up and down all year. You know, she started driving more this year, which scared the hell out of everybody on the road. But she's actually been able to put it together. Knock on wood. Hadn't run over anybody. I check the car every day, and there's no dents or scratches that just happen that nobody knows about. So all in all, she's done pretty good with a lot of things. So I'm weighing all of that very heavily, Jermaine, and she's taken over being my pretty much my studio manager. So I'm more hands off when I'm doing the show, so I can look more at the camera instead of looking down at buttons and stuff like that, unless I'm looking over at my second computer or my third screen or something like that. So she's done a great job with that. But I don't want to get into her review right now. Let's just say things are looking okay. Is that good enough, Laura? Things are looking okay.
Well,
but it's fluid. It's fluid.
It's not.
Go ahead, Jermaine. I
was going to transition out of this conversation. So what else are we talking about for 2022?
Well, okay. So I want to catch up on a few little news things and then kind of go back. Let's talk about some of the things that happened in 2022. Whether it was some news stories, folks that did not make it to the end of the year. We'll definitely go into the fact that as of today, Pele passed away on us at 82 years old.
82.
Yeah, that was a huge blow. But one of the big stories that happened was Derek Chauvin was convicted in the murder of George Floyd, sentenced to over 22 years in prison for that, and then also got another 20 years roughly added on for violating his civil rights. And, you know, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think, even when they found him guilty, that they were gonna drop the hammer on him like they did. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad that that example was made. I don't look at it as a lift to say this is the way that it's gonna fall every time. But sometimes when you see one injustice after another, it is good sometimes to be able to see something happen, consequences actually happen when people do things to people of color.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Police unions, lobbyists for those organizations, are constantly fighting against, because they against punishment for um, law enforcement, because they always say, well, it's a deterrent to doing their job right if we hold them accountable, which is a wild statement to me to begin with. And so, anytime that we're looking for accountability, just traditionally, historically, we don't find it within our criminal justice system, because that system was uh, it wasn't built to hold white people. It was built to hold black and brown people. And so anytime a white person finds themselves into that system and stuff, and then finds themselves in his situation where they're actually being held accountable and stuff, I guarantee you, as shocked as you and I are, he was more shocked.
Oh, absolutely. And
Mhm.
to your point, Jermaine, it's funny how, and I brought this up in previous shows, that when you hear about black folks getting arrested or even losing their life, you would always hear a lot of non POC say things like, well, they should have just complied. They should have just followed the officer's directions. They should have just listened. If they had an issue, they could have hammered it out later, but just follow the directions and everything will be okay. And we know that there's stories where people broke down on the side of the road just looking for assistance and get shot. So it's not always about whether you comply or whether you don't. And then when the whole defund the police and Black Lives Matter and all that came out, it was kind of funny to see that transposed with Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort being having a search warrant executed for lack of good faith on Trump's part to turn back in documents that should have never left the White House or the Department of Justice. And now when you say, well, if only he had complied, they wouldn't have, as they put it, raided his home. Now compliance is out the door. If he would have complied with law enforcement, none of that would have ever happened. Now they want to blame the Department of Justice for planting evidence, raiding him. That's unprecedented. That's never happened before. All those types of things. And it's just crazy when it was a bunch of black folks. Hey, all y'all need to do is comply and do what law and order says. When it's Donald Trump and he doesn't comply, now it's we need to defund the FBI. We need to defund the Department of Justice. They literally said those words. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought you guys backed the blue. But like to your point, Jermaine, back the blue was never about equal justice. Backing the blue was always about keeping black folks in their place. Once we had to get rid of plantations and let them off the plantation, we still wanted to have, it reminds me of this, Jermaine. You ever seen a dog in a yard and wonder why he wouldn't run out of the yard? And then you come to find out that there's an invisible fence that was built in the yard. And
Yeah, but
in a
yeah,
lot of
but
ways, I feel like that's kind of what happened with the plantations is that they never really went away. They just tried to build an electric fence to make you think you were free, but in a lot of ways they tried to keep some systemic things in place where maybe that's not as true.
Well, I think a lot of cases, into your example and stuff, it's like if you ever go to the circus and you see an elephant
Mm,
that has a rope around it and it's tapped into the ground. The elephant is powerful enough to pull that system apart, but because the system is in place and it's visible and stuff for the elephant, they don't even try. And the dogs only run away months after the electricity is gone from that invisible fence and stuff. And so that is like slavery for us. Slavery was the physical fence posts and stuff. And then when we went through segregation, that was the invisible fence. And even though
correct.
there's some barriers been brought by, you can take a horse today that's been trained and stuff, and you can just throw a rope on a chair without tying it up, and the horse won't go anywhere because it recognizes the rope is
Hmm.
attached to something. And so that is how our systemic racism is and stuff. And that's why it's so easy for other people who look at that horse and go, well, I don't see any racism there, without understanding how
And
that
he's
horse
free. He
got.
could go anytime he wants.
He go anytime he wants to. He go anytime he wants to, and but it's not true. And so a lot of things, whether symbolically there or actually physically there in the way, like old laws are still in the books that have not been removed, or
Hmm.
the perception of judges who make these calls are allowed such leeway to make calls on criminal cases and how we do things. It's there. And so, like you said, the difference between if it had been President Obama who had taken top secret stuff home and how the perception would have been about his compliance or his involvement in that kind of stuff as to the former president um, asshole. Um, and so in 2023, March 5th is my last day in uniform. So buckle up, it's gonna get wild. Um,
Oh,
and I'll
so
be,
it's official.
yeah, I'm be a little bit short of 26 years, but a little over 20, almost 25 and almost 25 and 10 months. How about that?
Yeah.
Of service and stuff. I've pulled my punches on political stuff. It's coming to an end, but just the blatant racism within the system, and how it's trickled down to how people see themselves, whether they're the horse or the passerby that looks at the horse and says that that horse is free, even though we understand it still has a saddle on. It's still been saddled, and somebody put that rope on it and threw that chair out there, whether it's uh, right or not. Um, that's kind of the hallmark of the country itself, and how we view race relations and justice.
Correct. Absolutely. Lori, anything on that?
I just nothing again surprises me. I know when they did pass that sentence, again, I never thought that I would actually see that. Um, but at the end of the day, I would hope that it just would be a better place. But I keep seeing all of the things that are talked about in our politics in our system, and it's just very disheartening, and it's something that makes me think about a conversation that we've had, that do I even actually really want to be here in this country?
Mm,
Because I'd like to live elsewhere. I'm not saying that living elsewhere is going to be a bed of roses. And as I said, I am a proud American. However, it's very disheartening. And it just seems to me that no matter how much you are and how much you've achieved, you will never be seen other than as something as other than some, because you're not white.
yeah, absolutely. And even another sentence that we had that was surprising in a lot of ways was the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, and the verdict that came as a result of that too, where his three assailants actually were sentenced to some really, really heavy time, a life. One of them, I believe, did get possibility of parole, but the father and son did not. So that was a interesting turn of events.
Mhm.
Again, this was an event of basically jogging while black. being in a place where people have decided that you should not be,
Mhm.
where people have decided that it's up to them to look at you and size you up. And if they figure you shouldn't be here, they should have the ability to track you down, corner you, and basically modern day lynching. And then the whole cover up of the system was still there to let these guys actually go until it was turned over into the hands of somebody else that took it over and said, no, wait a minute, something's not right with this. And actually kept on it until it reached its conclusion.
We talk a lot about social media and what the how horrible it is and the things that it does and stuff. But
Yeah.
when we talk about Floyd and Aubrey, there and in a couple of other cases, I'm sure you'll bring up. A lot of it was because there was pressure put on officials to do the right thing because the public had seen what had happened.
Correct.
And that's one of the things that that kind of in this era, especially 2022, was very, very poignant and at the front was the ability for the masses to put pressure on our system to work the way it claimed it worked.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I hope that, yes, everything is on social media or phones or everyone has their camera out, but it shouldn't. And I would hope that with all of the laws and things that we have in place, that it shouldn't be that I have to show a video of a man being beaten or beaten down in order for you to do something. That you should be able to do things because it's right. But you
Yeah.
know, but I'm glad, and I hope that they still keep continuing to do that, even though sometimes people be trying to shame people on social media, but it starts getting it at least is a conversation starter and starts to get the ball rolling, especially in trying to get some justice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it really comes back to, again, when folks think that they have total immunity, that can inspire people that are, as they put it, bad apples to really act with recklessness because they know that there are no repercussions. And the other thing is that while a lot of reform has been out there and introduced, a lot of it is simple stuff where you're not trying to punish good people for doing good things, but making sure that in any profession, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's the U.S. Air Force, whether it's in my industry in hospitality, it doesn't matter whether it's a doctor, you still they get held accountable. There's malpractice suits. Lawyers can get disbarred for doing things that are unethical. But when we talk about law enforcement, is like hands off and everything. And there's been instances, take the George Floyd case, when that was initially reported, it wasn't reported the way that the video actually supported. And had that video not been there and we just went by the police reports, it would have cast a light that there was a super fueled, drug induced tall black man passing out $20 counterfeit bills that somehow was so aggressive that even when he was unconscious, there was a possibility that he was going to wake up like a superhero and take all the police out.
Well, the police lie, and in fact, and that's not just a Jermaine thing. That's something that they actually fought for, was the right to lie, even in interviews and stuff where they could lie and mislead you to entrap you into stuff. The police want to lie. Their reputation is they're liars, and their history is from slave catchers and stuff. And so, if you don't know the history, because you mentioned the Air Force, so the military. One thing about the police that I've always said is because policing is localized, as I think it should be,
Yes.
but it's not standardized on a national or statewide level and stuff.
Right.
The accountability from county to county is outrageous, and so you have lots of the police departments that function just fine and actually want to protect and serve and stuff. And then you have some police departments that are there for money making purposes, and then a lot of them are there for not to protect the community so much as they are to keep black people in their place and harass them, black and brown, and intimidate them. And so a lot of police reports are inaccurate. And it's a social thing too, because our media reports to the police what the police say like it's facts.
Right.
They never challenge the police on things they say, and so unfortunately, what we learned historically and stuff, going back to Rodney King and maybe beyond that, is that if there's not video to dispute what they said, and we know that even if there is video, the police will continue with whatever lie that they told. That's why I say, and I have friends that are police officers, just like they've got black friends. I've got police friends. And so when I say that they're liars, I mean that on a general sense. And it's not like in the Air Force, like if I was to go overseas and I shot small children and stuff, the Uniform Code of Military Justice would convict me and put me away, and they might even kill me. Because there's a standard out there, and the military has a vested interest in making sure that we have a good public perception and stuff. The Air Force owns all the nukes. And so in order to have public trust, we have, because we need it, right? We need public trust because we've been entrusted with all these weapons of destruction and stuff. But more importantly, we have the nukes. It don't get no bigger and badder than that.
You are leaving that when you retire, right?
Nah, I believe I get to keep I have a top secret clearance. I believe I might be able to walk into some places. But the point is that locally, because policing is localized and stuff, and there's just not the standard there to keep everyone across the nation in lockstep. When they said defund the police, what they really meant was punish people who are bad faith actors by denying them federal funding.
Right. And you know what they also meant too, Jermaine, which is why I said the definition, the wording was bad, but then it was taken and turned into something that it was never meant to be. But it was also about the militarization of your local police. Like there should be a difference between the way that your police department looks and the way that the National Guard looks. But when the police are sitting there buying equipment and things from what you would see from a militarized unit, and it looks like the police are becoming more militarized, that's what gave people a lot more pause. Wait a minute, this isn't public safety to protect and to serve. You're trying to be an extension of the military, and you're the police.
Do you remember, and this is like 20, maybe even 30 years ago, there was a police shootout, and there were some heavily armed robbers and stuff, and they had automatic weapons, they had full body armor, include face stuff, and it took the police hours to get them.
That was in California. I think it was in California.
It was out in California and stuff. Because of that one shootout, there are places in Iowa that have tanks.
Yes.
I want you to see how ridiculous the response is to that instance. That's when they said we need to have weapons to deal with people like this. People who only come across 0.0000001% of the time. Black people get killed, harassed, and lynched at a much greater rate. We should be getting guns from the government to protect ourselves.
Right.
Based on our harassment level, based on the averages and stuff, we should have tanks.
Right.
When Master P said nah, I was like, yeah, I'm a no limit soldier. I'm after this tank. Yeah, absolutely. I want a tank too.
Yeah. I mean, my God. I mean, you can't sleep in your own bed without getting shot and killed.
Yeah, you can't be asleep
in the parking lot at a Wendy's without getting shot and killed. You can't walk away from the police and walk back to your vehicle without getting shot in the back. You can't jog in Savannah, Georgia without getting lynched. I mean, you can't sell Lucy cigarettes without getting choked to death. You can't play with a toy gun in a park without getting shot 2 seconds after arriving on the scene to assess the situation. I go on and on and on. It's like you can't have a broken tail light. I mean, there's so many crazy things that, we do need to be armed because, my God, just doing regular shit can get you killed.
The state isn't authorized to kill Black people, and traditionally there's no punishment for it. So when we're talking about the cases this year that actually did receive some sentences and punishment stuff, it was because public pressure. It was a social media thing. It was because there was video evidence, and in every case the police had lied about what had happened, and their official reports and stuff when they knew that the truth was out there and they just didn't want to seek it. So as we're recapping 2022, I'll say on a positive note, yes, unfortunately, if the police come to my house, I hope my Ring cameras catch them doing the foul shit, because otherwise, they'll just say whatever they want to say.
Right.
They are right. I did shoot at them. They are right. It was not easy, and I was a 6'4" black dude, hyped up on drugs and stuff.
Right.
And it was metformin and insulin. Those are the drugs. That's not what they're going to tell you, but they were right. I was on drugs.
And we saw white pills beside his bed, and we figured he was high.
He was high. Yeah.
Or it's for his diabetes, or who knows?
Oh, who knew?
He wasn't acting like they were diabetic pills.
Yeah, he was out of his mind.
Maybe they were laced with heroin. Who knows?
That's right.
But and for my paler viewers, I do want to admit that I'm not just going to talk about police getting verdicts. There was another verdict that I wanted to talk about. Jesse Smollett. Smollett was brought case of a hate crime because he is the LGBTQ community, and he's an actor, and he tried to say that two guys assaulted him and it was a hate crime and all this. Come to find out, it was staged. He set up the whole thing, and he was actually sentenced to 5 months in jail for this whole ordeal.
Yep.
Even past the sentencing, though, it really, in my opinion, did a lot of harm to the LGBT community. And I know, Dwayne, we talked about this before, where you were like, not really, because people were already going to do this to the community anyway.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, but you don't pour gas on a fire
and think that it's going to be okay. Yeah.
And think it's going to be okay, because it's kind of like the whole thing with when you have the one instance of a female saying that somebody raped her, and then you find out that she lied, and then other women that want to be able to report those things less hesitant to do it because they'll be vilified, dragged through the coals. Look at what Megan Thee Stallion had to go through for getting shot.
Yep.
People started sitting there jumping all over her like she was the one that shot herself.
Yep. But
so when Jussie does that, bro, you're making it harder for a community that has already been treated so unfairly. Now they're being called groomers. Now drag shows are places where kids go to learn about sexuality and bestiality and all these other kind of things. So you give the right, not that they won't take or make up stuff anyway, but you just give them more fodder for no reason at all.
I believe, honestly, that it's the same thing I was on the first time we talked about this. That I understand what you're saying, but the people that we're talking about that are saying these mean things about that community would have said it without Jesse's help. And I know you think, well, you're giving them something else to say. Well, okay, well, what we're talking about with Jesse is we're talking about somebody who was capping and looking for clout and trying to do some other stuff. It'd be different if he was actually doing the things that they're talking about. If he was a drag queen, which he's not. If he was, which there's nothing wrong with being a drag queen. They're simply some of the funnest people in the world. But if he was grooming children and doing that kind of stuff, then sure, I get it. This is a case of a dude who lied. He should be a Republican. If he'd been a Republican, he could have got away with it. They have candidates who blatantly lie about their work history, their education, and win elections. So it's not that, and for me is the reason I'm like, man, I'm not sure how much. The only thing he did was not claim to be a Republican. Had he done that, and then
if he would have led with that, then he'd been all right.
If he led with that, anything after that would have been okay.
Right. That's a good point.
Well,
Laura, anything on Jesse?
Old Jesse. Poor old Jesse.
You just need to be upfront about what you're trying to do. And I thought his whole entire thing was just unnecessary. But
Completely
again,
unnecessary.
he decided to go forth with that plan. Didn't work out.
Didn't
Well,
work
And
you
out.
know,
now we have a record.
the big thing with that whole plan is that as a community, not gay community, the black community,
Yes.
because we got called out for it, did not believe his story to begin with,
Right.
and then there was a whole bunch of backlash about how black people's minorities don't support
Yes.
LGBT and trans and stuff like that, and we're part of the problem and stuff like that. And we're like, no, it was in Chicago, and he said it was cold. What was he doing at 2 o'clock in the morning? We don't believe that shit. But it's the same reason. It's the same stuff that, like, when Trump came along and he was spitting his lies and stuff, black people have heard game for a long time, and we
Right.
know when somebody's full of shit. And
Right.
so when Trump came along, that's why I was like, well, why don't black people like Trump and stuff? Because we've heard pimps run game before, and we ain't no hoes. We
Right.
not falling for that stuff. We're not gonna walk the block for you on this, Trump. Jesse, we're not gonna walk the block on you for you.
With the
Right.
exception of the few 5 people that are on camera wearing them paid that were paid playing wearing those shirts for Blacks for Trump. Them 5 people on camera.
Yeah, they show up all the time. The dude with the bad
The
jerry
same
curls,
guys,
yeah,
same guys, always
same
there.
guys, same black guys,
Mhm.
same,
And
yes,
then
yeah.
Diamond and Silk. What
Yeah,
was
that, but can't what is it, the High Swings, Candace Owen? Oh, and if there's anybody out there who's a friend of mine, or you think you're a friend of mine, and you're like, hey, I want to send you something from Candace Owens and stuff, go ahead and kill yourself. I don't want to hear that shit. We are not the friends that you think that we are. If you're gonna
Right.
send me something from a conservative, some conservative,
Especially after her latest snafu about the damn Confederate flag and defending white people for wanting to have the Confederate flag and talking about it ain't had nothing to do with slavery. People ignorant about that. Now, all that, I ain't get into everything that she said about that, but that was just one of many dumbass things that have come out of her mouth. I don't feel bad for her because she puts forth the hey Sarah Parker. Sarah Parker is watching. But
Mama,
Mama, Mama,
Mama, you know I love you.
you know I love you. You know I love
you, Mama. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're done. Anyway, so well, it's always good to know that your mom's watching your show. Anyway.
I was.
So, anywho's, but yeah, so Jesse got that, and then another thing that happened is the slap heard around the world. I mean, oh man, Chris Rock gets slapped by Will Smith for apparently making one too many jokes about Jada Pinkett Smith's bald head, and that warranted Will being emasculated and going out on stage to claim back his wife's honor and slap the shit out of Chris Rock on live national TV during the Oscars. So, and then the ensuing debate about whether that was a wrong thing or right thing to do. I'm like, wait a minute, is there a debate about this?
Yeah. I see what the debate is. I really do.
People blame Jada for it. That wasn't her hand.
Well, no, I don't. I think as men, we have to be responsible for our actions, and
Correct.
it's not very masculine to blame your actions on your wife. I don't care how much your wife yells or screams and stuff like that. If you're truly the leader of your household, while you may respect her input and opinions and stuff, the way the household moves is based on your decision making and stuff. You shouldn't be not swayed. Like, I'm not swayed by a 12 and a 13-year-old about how I run my house, right? I listen to their inputs. Daddy, we want running water. Daddy, we want electricity. I hear you. It doesn't mean I got to do it. But for him to walk up there and stuff, he was way out of the hand. And he's not really the man I thought he was if it was because of his wife and stuff. Now, if he decided that's what he wanted to do to protect her honor, and I would say for our toxic kings out there, when you do moves like that, you're not really doing it for the female. You're doing it for yourself. It's not their honor, it's your pride. that you're trying to protect and stuff. As a grown socialized adult and stuff, we keep our hands to ourselves and stuff. And we don't slap people, especially, that was something that he could have talked about off air. Although I'm the kind of guy, again, who, number one, I believe in shooting people. So I'm not a hands-free kind of guy. I believe in handling disrespect at the moment that it happens. That way, if you hit it at the point of attack, just like a good run-stop play, if you can get to the gap and you feel the gap and you knock that play down and stuff, they go somewhere else with it. They don't come running. They don't come running to you with it.
Sound like some conversations from Head to Head Sports.
You know what? Here's my plug for Head to Head Sports. They moved to 7 o'clock on Wednesdays and stuff. The show is hilarious. The show is informative. Those guys make some of the best. I believe for the last 2 years, the host Brian Parker has picked the Super Bowl champion correctly, and from not like at the playoffs, preseason.
Yep.
Preseason. But before they start the first preseason game, breaking down, analyzing all the teams in the league, giving you some of the best stats for somebody that doesn't have a staff of like 18 people running around giving them notes and stuff like that. It's a wonderful, and it's a down to earth show. It's very easy to follow along, and they answer your questions when you type in and stuff. It's great plug for the show every Wednesday night until the end of the season. They take a break, obviously, when the season's off, and they come back for preseason and stuff. If you want to win your fantasy leagues, I would suggest that you tune in preseason and listen to these guys because they don't just break down the teams; they break down the important players too. So head to head makes me smarter. I'm in my championship this week too because I listen to head. Yeah, I am. I listen to head to head.
Oh wow! And I'm in mine. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I listen to head to head. The only thing that head to head got wrong was Matt Ryan, and I'm gonna leave that alone.
That was my biggest mistake for sure. And speaking about reading comments, Anthony, I apologize. I meant to read your comment earlier. I'm gonna double back to it. What history will stay with you the most? A black president or people storming the Capitol? Both, for two different reasons. Because having a black president in a lot of people's minds was supposed to basically be the end of racism somehow. And storming the Capitol reminded you that when folks don't get what they want, then they go back and try to take it by force. And that what you thought might have been gone is still there. And for the longest, we always knew that things were in the underbelly of society and would creep out from time to time. But that was full out white nationalism. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too, about the meteoric rise or I don't want to say rise, I want to say resurgence of white nationalism. But both of those are going to stick in my mind for two totally different reasons. Barack Obama becoming president was historic in a lot of ways because of the way that he became president. It wasn't because he just got all the black people to vote for him. It was because he became transcendent enough to convince some other people that, hey, there's got to be a way better than the way we've been doing it. We gave the guy a chance, and then he actually won re-election, something that we can't say about the last guy, even though he thinks he did. But he really doesn't think that. Anyway.
I would say if I answer that, it would be January 6th. And I'll tell you why not for the Barack reason. Barack was the first black president and stuff, but he was not a president for black people. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything during his terms and stuff, but it wasn't like if I got in there, right? And I started naming,
Juneteenth.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It would be ridiculous. Press conferences, and I got gold, and I got diamond fronts in and stuff. And Jordan's I'm like, and Jordan's on the stuff. I'm like, yeah, man.
Hey, Obama got bashed for a tan suit. Wait till Jermaine come out with an Adidas tracksuit.
Yeah. I'm getting man weave. I'm I'm bringing the waves back and stuff.
And a Kango.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I would do that. All I would do is I would have my kufi on and my beard out, and that would be enough to send them into a frenzy.
I can deal with that, but don't
Yeah,
hit the man
nah, I would.
That's a
But
lot.
the big thing with Obama's presidency and stuff, and even with Kamala Harris, hey, have you heard that name in a while? I bet you haven't.
No.
I mean, even with our vice president being a black woman, who and she said, "I'm not doing particular things just to appease one segment of America and stuff." Uh, in the same year that they passed the Asian hate bill, and they would not pass the lynching bill for years and years and years. It's not that America doesn't do anything for minorities; they just don't do anything for black people. And so Obama, Kamala, all these people, politicians, stuff. While it's nice that they got into these positions and stuff, what really truly landmark stuff can you think that they did for black people in particular? They said, "Well, we work for all Americans and stuff." I was like, "Well, white people don't work like that. Why do you work like that?"
Right, that's true, because when Republicans were in power the last time, the first thing that they ran to do was pass tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. Now, I'll wait. Tell me how many of them are black.
Yeah. Tyler Perry, Oprah, Jay-Z.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. But
when you look at that, yeah, you're absolutely
so,
right. I do.
So
I agree.
January 6th sticks in my mind because it proved the point that I had actually been saying on this show. We've been going for almost 3 years. I've been going on the show. I always go back into let's check the history. And a lot of people go, "Oh, Jermaine, that's in the past." And January 6th was like, pow, it's not in the past. We're right here.
We still here.
We still here. We still breathing and stuff. And as we see now, is more stuff coming out from that committee and stuff. It wasn't just poor whites.
How you doing?
In their political angst and stuff, it was high-ranking members, sitting members of Congress who participated and coordinated those actions and stuff. That's why that sticks out to me more, is because it's a ever-present. In fact, it's one of those things that somebody who's worked in DOD for a quarter century and stuff. When we talk about the threats against the nation and stuff, white nationalism is there. In fact, when the DOD recognized that and actually put white nationalism on the list of things that they were concerned about, that's when a lot of white people got upset. Like, that's not even a thing. It is a thing. That's why it's on the list. The DOD did just to make that up. There's a whole bunch of white people DOD who looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, that's the thing." It's a national concern. It's something about our national defense. Homeland Security should be very, very concerned about white nationalism. And January 6th was just a proof of concept that yes, this is as big of a problem as Jermaine Parker said it is.
And you know what to tag on to that, what also became a part of that was not just white nationalism, but Christian white nationalism, where
yes, the radicalization of Christianity.
Correct. Where Christianity, well, and when you look at it, Christianity was already radicalized in a lot of ways anyway from the founding of the country, because there are a lot of people that will incorrectly continue to say this country was founded on Christianity when the Constitution makes clear that there were no religions to establish this nation. And then when you put that in front of people, they'll agree with, we need to protect the Constitution, we need to fight for our rights, and this and that and the other. And then when you tell them what the Constitution says, oh no, that's not in there. No, this is definitely a Christian nation.
What amazes me about that is that most of those people have not read the Bible, and they've definitely not read the Constitution. Of the two, the Constitution is the shorter read. It is the easier read.
Yes.
They make pocket constitutions. They don't make pocket Bibles.
Hey,
you can read it.
I'm sure it's on audiobooks too.
I'm sure it's like probably 99 cents. It's probably the easiest read you can listen to. It's not that hard, and that's what when people talk about American stuff, people are arguing. They do that. People take stuff out of context simply because they never read it. They believe what somebody else says, and even if they did read it, they would still interpret it the way that somebody told them to interpret it.
Correct.
And look, hey, I get it. I'm not even mad at y'all. I get it. That's American. That's the American way. You dudes are still eating hot dogs. You already know what's in a hot dog. If you knew it was a hot dog, anyway. But I'm sorry. That's the Muslim in me coming out.
I'm about to say, look, everybody can't eat bean pies. Everybody ain't built for that.
Hey, you
You know.
Y'all keep saying it the way y'all want to keep saying it. Y'all do your thing. But just to wrap it up, the January 6th stuff was mine because it proves so many things about what we've been saying, and it was history repeating itself. You go back to Wilmington, 1895 or whenever that was when they had the riot in Wilmington stuff, and that was so that January 6th was not the first time in America white people had been upset about election results and went and tried to oust the electors. They actually succeeded in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the people that they didn't kill ran away, and they reinstated they lost the vote badly. And that's why when we talk about election laws and stuff like that, we're not trying to keep people from elections. We just don't trust mail-in ballots and stuff. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's your post office. It's like I don't understand. You don't trust your process, but it's just time and time again. January 6th was a bigger thing because in my mind, it had a bigger impact. It almost broke the country.
Right.
The tan suit from Obama wasn't anything, but January 6th, I don't think people even today really realize how close we came to anarchy.
Right.
And I'm still in that vein. We still are very, very close to losing it.
Well, I think so as we recap 2022 and we talk about this is probably the first time in 30 years where the incumbent party got to maintain control, and the Republicans, while they did gain some seats and stuff, most of the people who were the election deniers and big MAGA being supported by the former president and stuff, they lost their races.
They did.
And so,
because you know what, you can only keep saying something for so long, and people are ready to move on, no matter what side you're on. Now, if you're Trump, they'll listen to him, but they're probably tired of him too. But you can't just keep running 2020 and 2022. At some point, people want to know, what is it you can do for me?
No, I think you can, and I know you can because we still have Confederate flags and monuments. So I know that you can lose something and lose it badly, and still carry it on. I know. I see it.
Well, yeah, okay. So
this is my serious face.
Definitely valid point on that. As we're getting closer to the end, we had speaking of the election. So Jermaine was right. The House did flip slightly by about 5 seats, where the Republican Party will have the House on January the 3rd. It is going to be very, very interesting to see next week how this vote for Speaker goes with 5 never Kevin McCarthyers vowing that they will not vote for him. They may end up backing down, but it does sound like it's going to have to go through a couple of ballots for it to get to that point. Idea was floated at one point is if you corralled enough moderates and got enough Democrats to vote for the moderate Republican, that could upset the balance of things. But here's the thing. Kevin McCarthy is going to be technically Speaker of the House at the end of the day. But what he's going to have to give up to have that going to be worth him going through all of these. He does. I don't know if he realizes that yet, but the soul that he's going to have to sell to all these devils is not going to help him because they're going to block everything he wants to do. And if he tries to do anything that is bipartisan, they will unseat him because they're pushing him to reestablish a rule that is a point where they can bring up for a vote whether to basically remove the speaker from their position. That is one of the things that they're fighting him for, and he's going to bend. He's going to have to do it. So I will predict this: if they make him do that, and he becomes speaker, by the time we have this show next year, he will not be the Speaker of the House.
I think it will, and here's why. I don't know why anybody else would want to do it. Because they failed this fall in securing the Senate. anything that the House sends is going to. I mean,
Dead on the
it's
rock.
like when the Republicans held the Senate and the Democrats had the House and stuff, and they came up with all these liberal bills and stuff. We should recognize 154 genders, and they sent it to the Senate, and that shit got slapped away.
And Mitch McConnell proudly said that I'm the Grim Reaper. It comes
He's
here
the Grim
to die.
Reaper. Yeah, and so
That's true.
I just don't see. They have such a thin margin in the House. They don't have room for centralist Republicans to not vote along party lines, and so it's not so much him doing things to be bipartisan. Can he rally this wild hodgepodge of Republicans with multiple, with all this duality with their allegiance and stuff to come together to put a bill forward and have enough support on his side of the fence? And of course, if he reaches across the aisle, then he just alienates more people on his side and stuff. So, I mean, it seems like a horrible job. Like, who would want it? I get why you would want it maybe some years ago, but it's not a great job now. And so when you say being replaced by who?
That's
For
a good
what?
point.
Why?
Yeah, that's true, because you would still have to get 218 votes as a consensus, and he's having a hard time doing it. So who else would have an easier time doing it?
Well, so the anybody else who has any, so you think to yourself, why would somebody do that? Is because they have some political, they want to have some political gain. You're talking about going into a seat where you're going to be working really hard and you're not going to have a lot to show on your resume for it. Is that, oh yeah, I got these things done. You let him have it, let him fail, let him struggle through it, and you wait for the next 2 years, the next election cycle to come through, and maybe your Senate looks a little bit better, and your odds in the House gain some, and then that's the job that you want to kick him out of. You don't want to kick him out now,
right? Because you actually need a fall guy. Actually,
yeah, he needs to be the fall guy. I vote for him just for that reason, because no one likes him. It's not like he's going to lose favor. He's not a likable guy. He does not say likable things.
So if you were a Democrat, would you just go ahead and give him them votes so he can go?
Absolutely. And then I heard make his life live in hell. Absolutely.
I agree. You know what? I agree, and that was a similar strategy that Democrats used in the midterms, where they started propping up the crazies that ended up losing, and people argued, "Oh man, they're taking money and resources and put it to that, and it could backfire and this and that and the other." And I'm like, wait a minute. Out of one mouth, y'all talk about the Democrats being weak and feckless and not wanting to do anything and, sling a little mud like the Republicans do. And when they do it, oh no, then you clutch your pearls. You can't have it both ways. You
can't have both ways, but Democrats are weak. They are absolutely sloppy. Absolutely sloppy.
Sure. But it's a fair criticism. It's well deserved. It's well earned. But what I'm saying is, but then when they do something that's counter to being weak and sloppy, then you can't get on them for once not being weak and sloppy.
Yes, you're right.
So it's like, which way do you want?
Can't win.
You can't play a gentleman's game with somebody that ain't a gentleman.
Yeah,
and that's what they keep trying to do over and over: reach across the aisle and do this and do that, and appear to have the higher moral ground and all that stuff. So anyway, and I know you guys heard the story about the congressman-elect from Long Island that basically made up everything about his life.
What?
I mean, even to the point of saying that he was Jewish, but then trying to insult everybody's intelligent and saying, well, of course I was Catholic, but I was telling people as a joke that I'm Jew-ish.
Yes.
Bro, you had a whole week to figure that out, and that's what you came up with?
Well, when you lie, so that's the thing. When you're on sand, it's hard to get good footing.
Boy, it is. He made everything he worked. And you know what? He should just go ahead and resign. I know McCarthy needs his vote and everything. We can find some Democrats to go ahead and vote for him, because this dude is going to be toxic. Because if he has broken any kind of laws, because he's left that thread out there now where he's under investigation, because they say that a couple years ago he only made $55,000 a year, had even gotten evicted at a certain point, and then loaned lend this campaign $700,000, and everybody like, oh, where'd the money come from?
Yeah, and he was making $3.5 million with another company that he founded, and that he worked for Goldman Sachs.
And none of that was true. And then he graduated from Baruch College, and he never graduated from any college. One of the worst things, other than saying that he was he has Jewish lineage and all of that stuff, was the fact that he said that he had 4 employees that worked for him that died in the Pulse shooting.
Yes.
And that wasn't even true. Like,
and I'll tell you this. You know the reason why we're just finding out about this? My favorite thing of 2022, Herschel Walker. There was so much lying and stuff going on in his campaign that you just couldn't keep up. It was like Trump's lying. He lied so much and he lied consistently that you couldn't pin him down for the lie yesterday because he was telling you a lie today that you had to get on.
I was going to bring up Herschel. I didn't know where to begin with Herschel because Herschel lied about graduating from top of his class from the University of Georgia, never finished school, having certain businesses that he didn't have, being a member of law enforcement because they gave him a toy badge, all kinds of things. Herschel, all I can say is this to you.
Get home and raise your kids! Oh my gosh!
I've been waiting on that since the beginning of the show. Not gonna lie. I knew it was queued up. I've seen the show when I wasn't here. You've used it several times. It was queued up. I said it's got to be in 2022. Got to be in there.
I've been waiting on that. So look, y'all. I know we're getting down to the last. I wanted to talk about some people that we lost in 2022. Starting out in January, we lost the great Sidney Poitier. That hit us hard. Even if I back it up, it was 2021, but man, it was like 3 days before the end of the year where we lost Betty White, and she was about to turn 100. So that was one thing. And we lost Sidney Poitier. Right after that, we lost Meatloaf. If people don't remember Meatloaf, Google him. That was a big one. Singer Ronnie Spector passed away. Let me see who else. Bob Saget passed away.
Yeah.
Let me see. Louis Anderson passed away. We lost the Queen. Queen Elizabeth passed away.
Yep.
We lost Kirstie Alley recently.
Yes.
She passed away. Let me see who else I don't want to forget. Coolio.
Yeah.
Coolio passed away. I'm trying to go through my little
It
list.
was another comedian or something he was a Black comedian that passed away.
Yes. He's 53 years old.
Yes.
Golly. I love his comedy.
Name, but I know.
And life short. We had so on November 19th. Dear family, friends of mine, the Gaines family, they lost a son, Douglas Gaines. He left behind a wife for 5 years and a 4-year-old son, Luke, and so prayers to them because that's still fresh. I mean, we just had the funeral just 2 weeks ago. Beautiful stuff. And so, like, if for my final thoughts for 2022 is that life is short. Hug those people around you. And hey, mental illness is a real thing, and it affects a lot of people. And I would say this from somebody who's trying to get his stuff together: don't be offended because people don't want to reach out to you. It's not about you; it's about them, and their well-being and stuff. And when they're ready and they can handle more bandwidth, I'm sure they will. But be kind to each other. You just don't know. You might be on the list for who we lost in 2023.
There you go. We also lost Franco Harris. If you don't know who Franco Harris is, just Google the Immaculate Reception. Pittsburgh Steelers legend there. DJ Twitch passed away as you talk about mental illness and stuff like that.
Yep.
I brought up Kirstie Alley. Bob McGrath, one of the founding folks on Sesame Street. Let me see. Irene Cara. Oh my gosh. I used to love me some Fame, man. John Aniston. If you don't know who John Aniston is, dude was Victor on Days of Our Lives for like the last 90 years. Well, it could have been 90 years. He died at 89, but he was on there forever. Everybody knew about Victor on Days of Our Lives. Gallagher passed away this year. Let me see who else. Aaron Carter, actor. Takeoff, Amigos. We lost Takeoff in a crazy way. Let me see who else we lost.
David Arnold, Lord.
David Arnold. Leslie Jordan.
Yes.
Robert Coltrane. Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote days. Loretta Lee.
Leslie Jordan.
Pharaoh Sanders. We lost Ken Starr, yep. Queen Elizabeth. Bernie Shaw from CNN was 82. Mikhail Gorbachev. Hey, Shelley Henson Evans. We lost Anne Hitch. Olivia Newton-John. Vin Scully. Bill Russell. Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek. Tony Dow from Leave It to Beaver. Paul Sorvino, who always played the mobster. Ivana Trump, who's buried at the golf course. He did that to get a tax break. Buried his.
Yeah. Well, his trading cards. Somebody explained it on TikTok. And it was brilliant. So this cat is selling these trading cards for less than $100, right? And there's a limit on how much you can buy, and so the limit is like 100. So 100 times 90 something.
$99. Yeah.
Is like $9,000 and stuff. What's the limit that you report at with the IRS with money? It's 10.
It has to be under $10,000.
So these people, because it's a virtual, because it's a virtual trading card with no evaluation stuff, you can now donate and give him and funnel him millions of dollars without it raising that eyebrow by the IRS.
Be flagged, yeah.
Flagged by digital currency and stuff. So it's just another money making thing for him, and it's actually very, very, as dumb as people want to say, it's a very, very smart move because you don't have to claim it. You bought something, so it's not a campaign donation. And so all his donors out there can buy $9,000 worth of virtual currency that it says on there has no value, but we're going to sell you to this. And so now they can donate and move millions of dollars around without it raising the IRS.
I heard they sold out apparently on that too.
Yeah. That means he made millions of dollars off that thing. He's not dumb.
Nope. Finishing it up, Ray Liotta, who I actually had the pleasure of being on the same set with him for Many Saints of Newark. So check that out. If you see Dickie going to visit his uncle in prison at visitation, I am the table right next to them. Watching the entire.
You can see his whole head on the side. You can just see that's right.
You definitely can. Again, mental illness. We lost Naomi Judd. Orrin Hatch, the senator. Gilbert Godfrey was only 67. Still Harris. I don't know who Tom Parker is. Madeleine Albright. Let me see who else. William Hurt was only 71. Man, so many people that we've lost this year. When you go back, Betty Davis. When you go back through it, Chelsea Christ, who sat there and jumped in New York City. Oh, I didn't even realize this one. Howard Hesseman from Dr. Johnny Fever from WK.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Wow. Yeah, Johnny Fever. Y'all remember him? Or he was on Head of the Class. Back when Robin Givens was anyway. Louis Anderson.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a big one too. So many people. Wait a minute. Okay, I read that one wrong. Erica Shepard is watching. Hey Erica, what's going on, bro? Bob Saget. Lost him too. So many more people that we could go into, but like Jermaine basically said, live your life to the fullest. Tomorrow is not promised. That would be my final thought on that. But I got 2 minutes, and I can't let 2022 go without giving y'all just a little taste of, what I don't like. Do you know? Lori, is there anything in 2022 that you don't like, that you damn sure don't want to see in 2023? Hey, Erica.
Fakeness. Be real. And don't be afraid of confrontation. Everything is not a confrontation. It just could be a healthy discussion or discourse, but don't be fake.
Okay. Jermaine, anything you don't like?
I don't like it when the Bradford Bears get the wheels beat off of them. I believe that a simple motion offense would help them out and would stop and keep me from screaming so much. And then learning how to attack the press, but stop trying to dribble out of the press, the full court press, and just pass their way out of it. I don't like that. Some personal stuff at the end of the year. I'm trying not to get kicked out of these games.
Erica said, yes, keep your fakeness away from me. I like fake people. No, I'm just kidding. I know. I don't like fake people. I just don't like people that think that they have to be everything for everybody. Maintain your authenticity. What makes you you should not ever be a detractor. It should be something that enhances. I remember back in the old days, Jermaine, I'm young enough to remember when I first started with even Marriott. And Lori, I'm sure even from an HR standpoint, y'all remember when they used to make you go through diversity training and talk about what makes us different, makes us stronger together and all of that stuff? Well, I found out, not just this year, but I found out a long time ago that was a bunch of bullshit. Because apparently what makes us different scares the living hell out of people. And they're afraid. But I still say, do you, boo, be who you are, live your truth. And don't let people cast you as a groomer or as an other or anything else. Be you. I don't like people that take folks that try to help your kids for granted. You vilify the teachers because of COVID, yet you won't sit there and pass things where they can actually make more money so they don't have to dig in their own damn pockets to buy materials for their kids. You sat there and saw during COVID how hard it was to sit there and teach your kids, yet you still treat their teachers like total crap. I don't like that. School is not daycare. It's not there so that you can go to work and your kids have somewhere to go. It's where we want them to become well-rounded people who will actually one day become better than you. Because most of y'all are holding on to some stuff and you're afraid that your kids are going to learn just how totally messed up you really, really are. That's what I don't like. Sorry. But what I do like is 2022, you are almost gone. Peace out. We're looking forward to 2023, God willing. And I thank everybody for all of your comments, your likes, your drop-ins, everything that you've done to help Head to Head have another prosperous year. We will keep this rocking and rolling going forward. 7 p.m. going forward. Tune in. Please make sure that you share it with all of your friends. We hope that you have a happy and safe new year, and your families are well protected. On behalf of Lloyd Parker, Jermaine the Franchise Parker, here's the 2022. We'll see y'all next year. Peace.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.